You know, not everyone can pull off the Bat Hat R2, but I think you can. Let's see. Styling. Love it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Geek Corner. Today is what I call an odds and ends episode. I've got all kinds of stuff to talk about. Not any that are very long, so I just wanted to pull all those topics together and start off with, first of all, a huge thank you to viewer Tracy, who sent me this amazing Bat shirt. I love it, including painted on abs. Isn't that awesome? I can wear it to the beach. I totally love it. This is my favorite bat symbol, of course, from the early 90s era. Michael Keaton, Batman, definitely my favorite. So thank you, Tracy. I truly appreciate it. I got to the theater very late to see X-Men Apocalypse, so I don't want to do a full review on it, but I did just want to touch base about it. I finally saw it this past weekend, and there's a couple cool things. First of all, about being out here in Minnesota, at some of the larger theater complexes, movies will stay there for a long period of time. In the Los Angeles area or even around LA, it's pretty hard to find a movie that's been out 2 months that's still playing in a theater unless it's a discount theater, and some of those aren't really the greatest to go to. But luckily I found a theater out here that was still playing X-Men Apocalypse. I was able to go check it out on the big screen, and I'll tell you what, I looked into the reviews and it seems like not a lot of people were in love with that movie. I think IMDb had it ranking somewhere around a 7, but Metacritic had it somewhere down around a 56% or something like that. I don't know if this is a side effect of this universe. Oh, Shelby's here to say hi. Remember, I told you guys, whenever the camera shakes, it means there's a cat down here. Come here, Shelby. Shelby wishes that he could have gone with me to the theater. Hi. Hi, good boy. Where are you going? Go check out the window. Nice. We'll have Shelby's butt in a shot. But I was pleasantly surprised and extremely surprised when I went to see X-Men Apocalypse. I really enjoyed it. And I do think that they have kind of treaded into a territory now where the X-Men movies are very much their own thing. You know, Bryan Singer has made a good number of them now and really developed his own kind of style with them that I really appreciate. But I think for new people coming into the franchise, it's probably pretty difficult for them to understand all the winks and nods to the previous films, how these relationships are all intertwined from the previous films. So I think I get why, you know, if you took your 12 or 13-year-old to it, maybe they didn't think it was the best movie, if they're even familiar with the older movies. But you know, I was a fan of that style right from the first one back in, I think it was 2000. Just a bit of a slower paced style, a bit of the superpowers are all in there, but they're not used to the nth degree. They're kind of smartly used in very limited ways. We got Shelby hair all over the place here. So this movie really clicked into all of that for me. I really liked it. I really enjoyed the new casting choices. Of course, it was great to see the Magneto come back from X-Men First Class and X-Men Days of Futures Past, as well as the new Professor X. I think those guys are both doing a fabulous job with those roles. Very big shoes to fill in terms of the original casting of Magneto and Professor X, and they're doing a wonderful job. And of course, there was an awesome cameo in there. I thought the cameo for Weapon X was amazing in that film, and I'm assuming that most of you guys have seen it by now. That's just a light spoiler. If you haven't, just know that you will get a little bit of a Hugh Jackman fix in this movie, and I always love seeing him as Wolverine, but seeing the traditional Weapon X costume was pretty amazing and a great use of him in terms of the storyline. So it's strange because I came out of the theater and I was thinking, of the movies I've seen this year, have I liked any movies more than X-Men Apocalypse? And I think the only one that's a close contender would be Captain America 3. But quite honestly, if I had both of them on Blu-ray sitting in my lap right now and I had to watch one of them again, I'd probably go for X-Men first. There's just something about that universe that really draws me in. I really love it. So I love this movie, and I hope that they will take the opportunity to make some more with this new cast, because the new cast seems to be really just getting their legs and kind of gelling together. And I think that there's room for more movies, but I don't know if this one did good enough in the box office, so we'll see. Also, coming off the Geek Corner from last week, Ghostbusters. I know it's a little bit of a controversial topic, but I really didn't, I don't think I went too controversial in terms of the video, but there was a really cool after effect. I was watching a lot of reviews of Ghostbusters 2016, and I bumped into one by Angry Joe, and he mentioned that there is essentially something that could be considered Ghostbusters 3. It's a video game from 2009, and it was available on Steam for only $9.99. So I took this past weekend, shelled out the $10, and played through that game. I think I got through it in about 8 or 9 hours, and I have to tell you, it was like a childhood fantasy come true. I mean, they really have the gameplay down with the proton pack, and it plays from a third-person perspective, so you see the proton pack the whole time that you're basically playing the game, which is certainly one of the best props. I think it's between that and the Ecto-1, which are the coolest props from the first movie, and you'll see plenty of the Ecto-1 or the Ecto-1B in this game as well. And it really just pulls you into that universe because you're hearing all the voices you know and love from the first 2 Ghostbuster films. They literally used the entire cast of main Ghostbusters. They also got Annie Potts to reprise her role, and it's written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. I don't know if this is true, but apparently they wrote that based on some ideas that they had for a 3rd Ghostbuster movie. After playing through the game, I wouldn't doubt that, because the game's story is pretty deep and interesting, and it expands on actually story elements from both the first 2 Ghostbusters, but primarily the first one, and it kind of builds more of the lore of Gozer and this whole thing called a ghost world, which, if I remember right, I think I heard something about a script synopsis for Ghostbuster 3 that included this idea of a ghost world that was being linked to our reality, but I don't know, don't hold me on that. I'm really not sure. If you guys know more about the Ghostbusters 3 script, if this is close to it or not, please let me know in the comments below, because I'm very curious to hear your thoughts about it. But in terms of comedy, it felt more like Ghostbusters 2 than Ghostbusters 1. The jokes aren't quite as good. There were a few that are really good and well done, but on the average, it felt a lot more like Ghostbusters 2. The jokes are just a little light, but they're still awesome because they're being told by the characters we know and love. The character models in the game look like the actors. In particular, Ernie Hudson, the Winston character, looks really close. His facial animations are really, really well done. And Dan Aykroyd looks, he looks enough like Dan Aykroyd. Bill Murray looks like Bill Murray. And in a very cool way, Egon looks like Egon, and it just kind of breaks my heart that, we've lost Harold Ramis, so we won't really have any other chance to see him in that role again. But if you haven't played Ghostbusters 2009, I highly recommend it. And also, because this is a game that came out 6 or 7 years ago, the specs on your computer don't have to be super amped up. If you've bought your computer in the past couple of years, you're probably going to be able to run it with really no problem at all. There are plenty of visual tweaks that you can do, set the resolution, turn features on or off so you can get some smooth gameplay, and you'll need it because chasing down ghosts with your proton stream can get a little tricky at times if you're dealing with a real stuttering frame rate. But I was able to run it beautifully on my computer. My computer is way too old at this point. But just a very enjoyable 8 or 9 hours. I'm pretty sure I'm going to play through at least sections of it again, if not the whole game again, because it is certainly the closest thing we have to a true sequel of Ghostbusters 1 and 2. And it just feels great. It feels great when you're in there. Pulling out your proton pack, grabbing a ghost with it, and then pulling that ghost over to a trap and watching it go into the trap, and all the visuals look exactly like you remember from the movie. It's really, really an awesome feeling. Took me back to being a kid, and I just really loved it. You can also get it for Xbox 360, I believe, if you still have your 360 up and running, for about $15. I think they sell it on Xbox Live, but I think you can still find copies on Amazon. I'm not sure if it's still around for PlayStation 3. You might want to check it out. But if you're a Ghostbusters fan and you felt like you were a little let down by the new movie, at least I'm hoping this movie is making us aware, like it did in my case, of other Ghostbuster things that maybe we haven't spent enough time with or just missed the first time around. And this game is a standout. It's really, really well done. As a matter of fact, it could be one of my favorite movie tie-in games ever. For me, personally, it was that good. Very, very enjoyable. So I just wanted to share that with all of you. And thank you to Angry Joe Show for telling me about that. I really like his work over there. If you guys haven't checked out Angry Joe, I recommend it, especially if you're a video gamer. That's kind of his forte, but he also does movie reviews. He's a very fun personality, and I have to thank him because I would have missed out on Ghostbusters 2009, which would have been horrible. So I hope you are all having a great week. Thank you for spending a little time with me here in the Geek Corner, and I'll catch you on the next show on the Geek and Dorks channel. Take care.